The Boston Bruins got a huge game out of Taylor Hall on Tuesday in a win over the Tampa Bay Lightning. Hall doesn't seem at all to mind his new deployment on the team's third line, while Jeremy Swayman put up his best performance of the season in the win as well. We're going to talk about all this and more on today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren. And this is a daily show where we discuss all things about your 19-3 Boston Bruins. Today is Wednesday, November 30th, the final day of November, if you can believe it. Christmas right around the corner. And we have much to celebrate. Many gifts have already been given to us this Bruins season, including another win last night over the Tampa Bay Lightning. If you are on Twitter, Instagram, you can find the podcast at Locked NHL Bruins. You can find me, my dad jokes, hockey tweets, at Ian C. McLaren. And a quick thank you for making Locked On Bruins part of your day, 5 days a week. So thankful for everybody who takes the time to subscribe, download, listen. It's free and available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Love to see some people sharing their Spotify Wrapped podcast lists. Hopefully Locked On Bruins is on there. And also you can find it on YouTube, where you can also get some bonus post-game reaction and breaking news content as well. And of course, last night after the win over the Lightning, I talked about Taylor Hall scoring 2 goals to lead the Bruins to a 3-1 win over the Tampa Bay Lightning at TD Garden, extending their home winning streak to 13 games to begin the season. This is, of course, an NHL record. Taylor Hall, the big story in this one, he needed a big game, and he came up with one, scoring just over a minute into the game on a Brandon Carlo shot from the point that he tipped in. Had a couple other golden opportunities as well. And this is all coming as he is being slotted on the third line. The Bruins super deep at the moment. Head coach Jim Montgomery electing to keep the Czech line together of Pavel Zacha, David Krejci, and David Pastrnak. And so with Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, Jake DeBrusk on the top line, Taylor Hall finding a home with Charlie Coyle and Trent Frederic, who is back in the lineup. Hall said wherever you're playing, wherever you're slotted, you have to make the most of your ice time. Charlie Coyle, as a third-line center, one of the best third-line centers in the whole league. So he doesn't take it as a demotion. He takes it as do what you can with the ice time you're given and the opportunity you're given, and he thinks whoever he's playing with, that can be a really good line. And Jim Montgomery added, Hall was very accepting of the fact that he's being used on the third line. They're using him on the second power play because that's what's best for the Boston Bruins at the moment. He can't say enough about his exemplary attitude. Still getting, 15 minutes a night, some nights 16, 17, depending on special teams. And he's been one of the team's best players over the past several games. Finally rewarded after going a few games without a goal. Hall, in fact, over his last 5 games, he's got 4 points, 2 goals last night, 2 assists in previous games against Tampa and Chicago. He had 7 shots in the game against Carolina, 3 last night, 3 the game last week against Florida. So he's getting his opportunities, and again, he said it was nice to see a couple go in. Felt like he had good legs the last few games, had some chances, especially against Carolina. Nice to contribute, nice to score at home. Been a while since he had a multi-goal game, and they're always fun. Just a good win against a good hockey team. Hall had 20 goals, 61 points last season. He's on pace to top those numbers this season. So far, he has 8 goals, 7 assists for 15 points in 22 games. He's on pace for 30 goals, 26 assists for 56 points. So, his point total may be a bit down from last season, but he's on track for his first 30-goal season since 2017, 2018, the season in which he won the Hart Trophy as league MVP. Jim Montgomery has been long impressed with Hall, dating back to when he came into the league with Dallas, 2018-2019. The season after he was MVP, that Montgomery first coached in the league, and you can tell he was an elite player. Coming to Boston, he was excited to work with him. He's older now. Maturity in his game has developed. And what's important to him now is winning. He wants to win a cup. He wants to be in a dressing room that values winning, that has pedigree, and it shows in the way that he's playing. So Taylor Hall, big bear of the night, 2 goals, 3 shots, just under 15 minutes of play, and so great to see him get on the scoreboard like he did last night. Going to talk about Jeremy Swayman's performance and some other items of note from last night's game. But first, this episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. You can get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from the ongoing World Cup of Soccer to the upcoming football slate, basketball, hockey, esports. They've got it all at BetOnline. If you love sports podcasts, you can find them over there as well. They're the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today. Use your mobile device to learn more at BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you so much again for making Locked On Bruins part of your day every day. Do check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast next. From the games that matter to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on YouTube and wherever you get podcasts. All right, so the Hall-Coyle combination looking a lot better than it did when they experimented with it last season. Of course, with David Krejci not being in the lineup, Charlie Coyle got the start as second-line center. And they're working on their dialogue on the bench, what he sees, what the other guy sees, areas they can contribute and get better at. And Hall said Coyle's such a good player, so strong, really good in his own end, and they have a better idea of where each other is going to be out on the ice. So we'll see if that pairing continues, and if, it's such a luxury to have a guy like Taylor Hall on your third line. On several other teams is at least a second line player. It could be on this team as well. Zaka getting that deployment alongside Krejci and Pastrnak. Hall could easily be up there. But for the time being, this team is best served having those 3 scoring line opportunities, and it's paying off. They're 19-3. The Bruins became the 5th team in NHL history to reach 20 consecutive home wins, dating back to last year's playoffs, the regular season. And Jim Montgomery said for them, it's more about the process that allows them to have positive outcomes. Patrice Bergeron, very driven that way mentally. He's always been a process-oriented coach. They're together in how they think things should work. They believe in a process, and everybody in the room believes in the process. Having the home crowd behind them, wearing those Pooh Bear jerseys that they're undefeated in, certainly helps. But right now, this team is just so focused on not settling on their reputation, not settling on early season wins, but trying to get better each and every game. And that certainly was the case with Jeremy Swayman last night, as he played his best game of the season, allowing only 1 goal on 28 shots, and he helped the team maintain their lead in the third period when he made an amazing pad save on Corey Perry's one-timer attempt. Montgomery said it's the best Swayman's looked this year. Not super high bar. He hadn't played very well. He had a sub 900 save percentage, injured. But last night we saw vintage Jeremy Swayman, very calm in the crease, being patient on his feet, seeing the puck well, and again, for this team to succeed, you need that depth up front. You need some effective goaltending from both guys when they're healthy, and you need that strong defensive presence as well. And Derek Forbort returning to the lineup after missing 11 games with a broken finger, recorded 2 shots, blocked 1. Team high 2 minutes and 5 seconds on the penalty kill. He said he felt okay. First period was a little fast, but as you get into it, you start feeling your rhythm again. Those were his favorite games to play. He said 1-goal leads. Games when you win by 5 or 6 aren't very fun to Forbort. It was a good test. Lightning, a really good team, and they did a good job sticking with it. Came out with the win. Charlie McAvoy played amazing as well. 6 block shots, leading the way in ice time for the Bruins. Had a couple scoring opportunities where he missed the net, but his best two-way game of the year, and he really relished that matchup against Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov, and the Bruins able to keep those two guys at bay in this one. It was fairly even when it came to how the game was played, 5-on-5. Lightning holding a shot attempt advantage. Shots pretty even at 5-on-5. Lightning perhaps with more scoring chances, but the Bruins had more high danger chances, 5-on-5. Lightning held the advantage overall in shot attempts and shots. Scoring chances, but the Bruins had more high danger chances, higher expected goals, and came out with the victory. I already awarded the Big Bear of the night to Taylor Hall, but of course, Jeremy Swayman deserves a lot of love for his .964 point percentage. Charlie McAvoy again with 2 shots, 2 hits, 6 blocks, which was fantastic. Brandon Carlo with the assist on Hall's goal. 3 hits, 2 blocks of his own. And a bunch of guys chipping in this one. Patrice Bergeron leading the way with 4 shots to pace the Bruins in this one. So a good team effort overall. And the Bruins next will play on Saturday, again at TD Garden. A couple more games at home before they hit road. Colorado on Saturday and then Vegas next Monday. And we'll certainly talk about those 2 games when they appear on the schedule. Bruins have 3 days off here in between games. What's up, Henry? Henry making an appearance on the podcast.
Hi.
He's got a bit of a funny ear issue going on, possible ear infection, so he's staying home. But yeah, let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in a moment to tee up the rest of the week and bring you the latest on the Boston Bruins. Thank you again for making Locked On Bruins part of your day every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms as well as on YouTube. Please do subscribe so that you never miss a thing. With the win, the Bruins remain atop the NHL standings in terms of point percentage. They're tied with the New Jersey Devils, but they have an .864 point percentage compared to .826 for the Devils and a +40 goal differential. On tomorrow's podcast, we will update the weekly cup check where I take a look at the top 5 teams around the NHL and give you an idea of where the Bruins stack up. There was one notable contract signed yesterday. That was by Dallas Stars center Rupe Hintz, an 8-year deal worth $8.5 million. Comes shortly after New York Islanders center Matt Barzal signed an 8-year deal worth $9.15 million. And there are some notable pending unrestricted free agents that these recent deals could affect. Notably, Bo Horvat with the Vancouver Canucks, Dylan Larkin with the Detroit Red Wings, and of course, our boy David Pastrnak, who is still without a contract beyond the season, while establishing himself among the league leaders in goals and points. After last night's game, he is 5th in NHL scoring behind Connor McDavid, Jason Robertson, Nikita Kucherov, and Leon Draisaitl. He's got 32 points, 14 goals, puts him in a tie for 3rd with Tage Thompson, Jason Robertson, Connor McDavid, Bo Horvat, all ahead of him. McDavid, Horvat with 17, Robertson with 19. I've been saying for a while here that Pastrnak likely to be paid in the double-digit millions in terms of AAV, and 8 years, $88 million seems to be the number that they will likely agree on. But still, the Bruins are rolling right now. Not a lot of people thinking about this or top of mind, but it's definitely something that the Bruins need to figure out, and hopefully sooner than later. We also haven't heard much lately about the Mitchell Miller situation. We know that's going before an independent reviewer, and I suppose we'll get some resolution here with respect to that soon. Tomorrow is the deadline for teams to sign restricted free agents. Nobody in that boat for the Boston Bruins. Alex Fermenton there with the Ottawa Senators, and still awaiting resolution on the Hockey Canada investigation and Formenton's potential involvement there. So that could affect some things with the Ottawa Senators. That's kind of the big news items going on around the NHL. Congrats to Alex Ovechkin for passing Wayne Gretzky for the most NHL road goals in the Capitals' win over the who did they play last night? The Vancouver Canucks. And we'll talk about this team more tomorrow, but keep an eye on the Seattle Kraken. They won a wild one last night against the Los Angeles Kings, and they are a top 5 team when it comes to point percentage so far this season. 14-5-3 through 22 games. Some good games on the schedule tonight. A few involving some Atlantic Division teams. Buffalo, Detroit. The Senators taking on the Rangers. Toronto taking on the Sharks. And again, tomorrow we'll update the weekly cup check and see where the Bruins stack up among the top 5. Pretty high, let's be honest. It's a dark and rainy day here in Guelph, Ontario. And the Guelph Storm did play last night. I'm wondering if our boy Matty Poitras got in on that. Tomorrow is actually my birthday. I still think I will do a quick podcast, but I'll also be taking the day off, going to do some cider tasting and out for a meal down in Hamilton. Last night, Matt Poitras held scoreless in a game against the London Knights. Guelph losing 6-2 in that one. They had their winning streak busted up. What else is going on? What did we watch last night? Well, of course, the Bruins game. We watched Welcome to Chippendales on Disney Plus, which very entertaining show with Kumail Nanjiani, Murray Bartlett, who you might know from White Lotus, Juliette Lewis. We also watched Fleischman is in Trouble. A lot of good people in there. Jesse Eisenberg, Claire Danes, Lizzie Kaplan. Check those out as well. If Locked On Boston Bruins appears on your Spotify Wrapped, please do share that and tag me on Instagram at LockedNHLBruins or at Ian C. McLaren. And we'll be back tomorrow with the weekly cup check and all the latest on the Boston Bruins. Anton Strawman clearing waivers yesterday, assigned to Providence. The Bruins last night playing with their healthiest lineup of the season, and hopefully they can remain healthy here for the next little bit at least. All right, take care, friends. Happy Wednesday. Talk to you again here tomorrow on Locked On Boston Bruins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day.